Welcome to Ed Cycles. I'm your host, Ed. Today I'm taking a look at some common navigation questions or issues and questions that people have about navigating the Florida Coast-to-Coast Trail. I'm starting at the Withlacoochee Trail and going east. Behind me is the trail. As you're going eastbound, you cross over State Road 50. And just after that, you'll look for this short spur trail over here to the right. It is paved, it's narrow. I think it needs some maintenance, but it's passable, no problem. It'll get you that transition from the Withlacoochee Trail down to the State Road 50 trail. If you're wanting to go westbound from the Atlantic to this point, look for my companion video, Ed Cycles, the Coast to Coast Trail navigation tips from the Atlantic to the Withlacoochee. The first segment on this video goes from the Withlacoochee State Trail to the Orlando Gap. We'll begin our bike ride on State Road 50 Trail for 11.3 miles, then through the State Road 50 Gap for 16.8 miles, and onto the South Lake Trail for 12.7 miles, and finally the West Orange Trail for 13.6 miles to the Orlando Gap. I'll break down each segment further as we go along. It's a great day for a bike ride. The first section will be for 11.3 miles along the State Road 50 Trail to its present end at County Road 751. We begin by exiting the Withlacoochee Trail onto this unmarked side path. This path is about 600 feet long and connects down to the State Road 50 Trail. It is all paved, it just needs some maintenance here, but it was very smooth and a fine ride. Then turn right onto the State Road 50 Trail that parallels State Road 50. I'm now riding through the area of Ridge Manor. Has a population of about 4,100 as of the 2000 census. This Ridge Manor campground is a 55 plus mobile home and RV campground. Don't know if it's a possibility for tent camping though. The State Road 50 bike trail is of the concrete wide sidewalk type construction all the way to the other side of the railroad tracks where it becomes asphalt. The Withlacoochee River runs through the south part of Ridge Manor. I did see several places where there was a lot of flooding, including right here, but there was some really bad spots back further off the trail on side roads that were completely flooded over. When the State Road 50 gap is filled in, there'll be a bike trail just like we see here along State Road 50 within the road right away all the way to connect to the South Lake Trail. But until then, this trail ends about one more mile down, and right here at County Road 478A is where you would exit if you wanted to take an alternate route that I show in my video Ed Cycles State Road 50 Gap. In that video I show an alternate on secondary country roads, all paved, that avoids the high traffic volume along State Road 50. Here's some excerpts from that video. That video goes in both directions, starting from the east going west, then turning and going from the west to the east through this gap. So going eastbound, you would want to start watching it around minute 29, and that's what these clips are from that portion of it here. Today I'm riding the bicycle along the trail to the very end at County Road 751, and then I will get in my vehicle to drive along State Road 50 so you see what that looks like and where there's bike lanes and where there is not, all the way up to the South Lake Trail on the east side of Groveland. The State Road 50 gap as it exists today is 16.2 miles along State Road 50 and then 0.6 of a mile along County Road 565A. So I'm on State Road 50 riding past the end of the bike trail as it exists today at County Road 751 and heading east. Not far from Terrytown, maybe a mile and a half or so from the main intersection there at Terrytown. Well, there's at least one cyclist on the State Road 50 bike lane. There's no bike lane through here, but it does appear to be a sidewalk continuous all the way through this section. And finally a bike lane for the final 1.5 miles until we turn off of State Road 50. After going through the State Road 50 gap, you come up along County Road 565A, and at Silver Eagle Road, you'll find the start of the South Lake Trail. Follow the South Lake Trail behind me here, going away from me, for 12.7 miles, and that's where you'll transition onto the West Orange Trail, and you'll be on West Orange Trail about 13.6 miles when you'll get to the Orlando Gap. The South Lake Trail is pretty straightforward with no special guidance needed.
Go 12.7 miles to get to the Orange County line and the start of the West Orange Trail. To see more details on the South Lake Trail, I recommend you watch my video, Ed Cycles South Lake Trail. Do note that it was filmed going the other way, going westbound instead of eastbound, but still it'll show you the highlights and some of the parts of downtown Claremont and the Claremont Historic Village and some other points of interest, these murals and the Citrus Tower. After cycling the entirety of the South Lake Trail, you'll transition effortlessly onto the West Orange Trail, where you'll stay on there for 13.6 miles to get to the turnoff for the Orlando Gap. The West Orange Trail is pretty straightforward, but if you want to see more details, I recommend my video, Ed Cycles West Orange Trail. It does show points of interest along the way, like a visit to the Oakland Nature Preserve and the Butterfly Garden and downtown Winter Garden itself, which is very popular for trail riders. Trail goes right through all the action in downtown Winter Garden. This video was recorded in the same direction going eastbound, so that'll make it easier to follow, and I highly recommend that you watch that video.
After 13.6 miles on the West Orange Trail, you'll get to the turnoff to go through the Orlando Gap. If you keep on the West Orange Trail, you'll go north and be off track. This turnoff here is unmarked, so keep track of the mileage. It is paved to get out to the Clarcona Ocoee Road, and you'll see all the details in the Ed Cycles Orlando Gap video. There's 11 different options, and you can choose which one is best for you. Now, directly behind me, adjacent to the trail, is a trailhead with a porta potty and fresh water. And a little bit further along the West Orange Trail behind me is Clarcona Horse Park, where tent camping is available.
Nestled between the Orlando Gap Spur Trail and the Buddhist Temple, the Apopka Vineland Outpost features a picnic shelter and porta potty in addition to vehicle parking. For vehicles, it is accessible from Apopka Vineland Road. A mere 0.3 of a mile further along is the spur trail that goes up to Clarcona Horse Park.
I'm going to go on the spur trail straight ahead to go up to Clarcona Horseman's Park. I think it's about 0.9 of a mile to get up to the park.
The Clarcona Horseman's Park is an Orange County park that is specifically designed and set up as a haven for horse owners and features show rings with bleacher seating, judging towers, and horse stalls. There are several horse trails through the surrounding wooded area and includes the trail to the nearby horse-friendly West Orange Trail. The on-site campground has facilities for both RV camping and for tent camping. For those of you riding the Florida coast-to-coast route, take note, as this campground will accommodate tent campers, and it's a mere 1.2 miles or so from where that spur trail branches off from the West Orange Trail. Where the spur trail ends at the park, you'll see the campground to your right, but you can't get there directly at that point. There's an exit-only gate there, so you'll need to go to the left and then right along Damon Road to get to the main entrance of the park, and turn right in there and follow the road around to the park office. I've been told that spaces 18 and 19 are for tent camping, and here's what they look like. And there's permanent restroom and shower facilities here. The Orlando Gap is located in a more urban area and therefore has many paved options, many different routes you can take through it. In this video, I explore 11 different routes, showing you the pros and cons and what it looks like to cycle them. And I encourage you to watch this video to decide which route you like through there. And I do a synopsis at the end to compare all the statistics on each. Do note that this was recorded going westbound, but still I think it'll give you a good idea. GPX tracks for all 11 routes are available on the description on the YouTube listing. This next segment of the Coast to Coast Trail goes from the Orlando Gap to the trail split at Maytown. First we'll be on the Seminole Wekiva Trail for 12.3 miles, and then you'll make the turn onto the Interstate 4 Crossing Spur Trail for 0.7 of a mile, then along the Cross Seminole Trail for 5.3 miles, the Spring to Spring Trail for 7.5 miles, then the East Central Regional Rail Trail for 18.1 miles to the trail split at Maytown.
Once you navigate through the Orlando Gap, you'll end up at this location, which is the intersection of Maitland Boulevard and Bear Lake Road. 400 feet north of here is where the Seminole Wekiva Trail technically begins. Once you're at that point, you'll be on the Seminole Wekiva Trail for 12.3 miles, and until you get to the next point of interest that you need to look out for, which is where to turn off the Seminole Wekiva Trail and go across Interstate 4 on the bicycle bridge to continue on the coast-to-coast route.
The first trail on the other side of the Orlando Gap is the Seminole Wekiva Trail, and you'll be on that for 12.3 miles, and you'll have to look for where to turn off exactly to continue. Details on the Seminole Wekiva Trail are available on Ed Cycles' Seminole Wekiva Trail. It was recorded going in the opposite direction. So for the Coast to Coast Trail, you would want to watch for starting at minute 13, because the Seminole Wekiva Trail actually starts beyond the Interstate 4 crossing to the north and to the west. So from minute 13 on will get you down to the Orlando Gap. But this video includes information on the trailheads and the tunnel locations and so forth.
Be aware that you'll leave the Seminole Wekiva Trail before the Seminole Wekiva Trail ends. This point is about 1 3/4 mile north of Lake Monroe Boulevard, where you come out of the tunnel. Look for this split in the Seminole Wekiva Trail. You'll see the sign for going over Interstate 4, and these electrical transformers right here. That's the reason the trail splits. And the turnoff to go over I-4 and get over to the Cross Seminole Trail is right here at this point. It goes off to the right.
The side trail over Interstate 4 is about 0.7 of a mile long. This side trail over Interstate 4 is often missed by cyclists on the Coast to Coast Trail. It connects the Seminole Wekiva Trail west of Interstate 4 to the Cross Seminole Trail on the east side of Interstate 4. Here we are going over Interstate 4, obviously. It's a very nice bridge to have this choice to get across. And when you come down the other side, you'll be along the Postal Distribution Center here on the left, and you'll soon be out to Reinhardt Road.
The short connector trail across I-4 ends here at Reinhardt Road. To continue on the route, go across Reinhardt Road and turn left. You'll then be on the Cross Seminole Trail. From there, it's about 5.5 miles to the St. Johns River.
This 5.3 miles gets very busy through a busy suburban area, many cross streets, many businesses, so lots of traffic in and out. So I'm going to go into further detail on each segment of this segment of the Coast to Coast Trail. This first section goes from the Interstate 4 crossing up to State Road 46, and it's easy enough to follow, but again, there's some very high volume cross streets along here. The green and white striping was put in place here less than a year ago, and so I think it's a nice addition and makes it easier to follow the actual bicycle trail through here. This is the crossing for H.E. Thomas Jr. Parkway, also known as locally as County Road 46A. Very busy intersection, a very wide intersection. There's a Best Buy and a Walmart here on the right hand side. Lots of restaurants on the left and other miscellaneous businesses, so very busy area through here. This is the very high traffic volume State Road 46 that the route goes across. Immediately after crossing State Road 46, the route turns to the right and goes parallel adjacent to State Road 46 for 1/2 mile. Turn left here to go north along the west side of County Road 15 or Monroe Road. .2 miles later, the trail goes across Monroe Road. There are many cross streets along Monroe Road, but it's a light industrial area, so not as much traffic as along Reinhardt Road. Here's where the trail goes across Monroe Road. There is a crossing signal button here for cyclists and pedestrians. Another 9/10 of a mile will get you to the St. Johns River. Be sure to turn left as soon as you cross West Seminole Boulevard.
Behind me is West Seminole Boulevard. To continue on the coast-to-coast route, go across West Seminole Boulevard and turn left. And immediately after that, you go under Interstate 4. If you were to go to the right on the other side, you'll be going along beautiful Lake Monroe on the Sanford Riverwalk Trail. After about 3 miles, you get to downtown Sanford if you choose to stay there overnight or something like that. Lots of restaurants and nightlife there. But for today's route, to stay on the route, go across, turn left.
These two crossings here are the Interstate 4 off-ramps, so there's traffic coming only from the right-hand side. This is the view from the apex of the bridge over the St. Johns River. It marks the end of the Cross Seminole Trail, and I believe it's the beginning of the Spring to Spring Trail. The video Ed Cycles Lake Monroe Loop shows the Riverwalk Trail from Sanford out to almost Interstate 4. It's the first 2 minutes of that video. We'll show you what that looks like. Also on the Ed Cycles Lake Monroe Loop is minutes 2 through 23, which are applicable to the route that we're on today on the Coast to Coast Trail, going the same way that we're going today. And we'll show you some of the trailheads. Well, it shows you all of the trailheads and some of the points of interest along the way. It's a very beautiful ride. I encourage you to watch that video. The Spring to Spring Trail is 7.5 miles long. This section of the video shows you the first 3 miles up to a split where I'll talk about the split. Just on the other side of the St. Johns River is Lake Monroe Park. And I'm going to divert from the trail here to show you this park because it is of interest to many of the coast-to-coast riders. This is a location where you can tent camp, and it is free for cyclists on the trail. This is a Volusia County park, and if you look on their website to make a reservation, you'll see their prices there. You won't see any mention of free camping for cyclists. To get the free camping reservation, you do need to have a reservation. You need to call the number I'm showing on the screen here and tell them that you're a cyclist and you can stay for free. This campground does have the usual amenities like a washroom, restrooms, and the free camping is for the cyclist is camping spot number 21 only. This campground is a nice grassy campground because there's not many vehicles that travel on it, and it does have the usual amenities like a picnic table and a grill, a fire pit, water access, and electric outlets. There's also free camping a little further along the trail at Gemini Springs, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. If you do not wish to go into Lake Monroe Park, just stay on the trail. It does continue around the outside edge of the park. There is a trailhead at the back end with permanent restrooms and a bicycle repair station. And then continuing on, you get to the rural part. That's pretty rural from here all the way down to Titusville. Personally, I love this raised boardwalk over this low-lying wetland area here. So this is the trail split that I had mentioned earlier, and I'll go into a little more detail here so you make sure you make the right choice at this point.
Where the trail comes up to Dirksen Drive, which is to my left here, the trail splits. It goes to the right, or you can go to the left, which is behind me. Now behind me, if you go up here, this is the segment of the Spring to Spring Trail that goes up to Blue Springs State Park and the Lake Beresford Park. To stay on the Florida Coast to Coast Trail, you want to stay to the right And just past this is a trailhead for parking, although I don't think it has any other facilities. And just past that is the entrance to Gemini Springs Park. And about 4 miles further down is the Green Springs Park.
While you're here, be sure to marvel at all of the signs that are in this one location. I don't know why. There's even a sign about the signs. So bottom line, keep to the right and keep on moving along the trail heading eastbound. The remainder of the Spring to Spring Trail to Green Springs is 4.6 miles. Gemini Springs is right after the trail split, and I'm going to detour on here for just a minute, same as I did for Lake Monroe Park, because you can also tent camp at Gemini Springs for free. For a free tent site, you cannot reserve online. You must call the number shown below. There are 10 primitive camping campsites at Gemini Springs, but only space number 1 is available for cyclists. And it is located in this area to my left. This is campsite number 1 at Gemini Springs. You can see it has a boxed-in raised area for pitching tents. There's a fire pit and a grill nearby as well. It is a primitive campsite, so meaning no water and no electric outlets. This is the view from the tent area. Continuing eastward on the trail. The trail does continue along and adjacent to the nearby roadway. Look for this turnoff here where it branches off to the right and gets more and more blissfully quiet.
The Spring to Spring Trail transitions to the East Central Regional Rail Trail here right in front of Green Springs Park. If you want to see the springs and the resident alligator, this is where you would turn. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't even notice that there's any change in trail here. Just keep on going straight through.
The East Central Regional Rail Trail begins here and goes to the end of today's route. This section is 18.1 miles to the split at Maytown. For the details on this section of the route, including all the trailhead locations and any points of interest along the way, I recommend you watch the video Ed Cycles ECRRT Green Springs to Maytown. You gotta know where to look for the Tin Man.
About 6.5 miles beyond the Gobbler's Lodge trailhead, you'll come to this split in the trail. Now, both choices are part of the East Central Regional Rail Trail. Going to the left will take you to New Smyrna Beach. Going straight ahead will take you to Titusville. This split in the trail is about 0.4 of a mile north of the Maytown trailhead. So if you need to use the trailhead, it has a porta potty, bike repair station, and water, I believe. 0.4 of a mile down, then you can come back to this point. If you want to go to New Smyrna Beach, you would turn off here.
Though not officially part of the Florida coast-to-coast route, finishing your ride at New Smyrna Beach is a popular option. It entails 17.1 miles on trail and 4.6 on local roads. The video Ed Cycles East Central Regional Rail Trail Maytown to New Smyrna Beach will show you the entire route. All along the trail, you'll see where the trailheads are, what facilities are at each, and any points of interest along the way. And more importantly, when you leave the end of the trail, if you want to go all the way to the beach, you're on local roads, and I'll show that exact path and some points of interest like the Canal Street Historic District in New Smyrna Beach, then across the Intracoastal Waterway and a few more blocks until you get right to the Atlantic Ocean itself. From the Maytown trail split, the East Central Regional Rail Trail goes 18.8 miles to the city of Titusville at the trail end. The video Ed Cycles East Central Regional Rail Trail, Maytown to Titusville, will show you all the details on this part of the route. As always, it shows the trailheads and the facilities at each and any points of interest along the way. And this one in particular, it's good to see where the actual trail ends, or it appears to end, and puts you on local roads, and you don't need to know how to navigate to pick up the bike path again. And then the trail itself continues in downtown Titusville and across the Amex Brewer Bridge to its end.
The East Central Regional Rail Trail ends here at this little cul-de-sac. It's also the end of the Florida coast-to-coast route. My understanding is that they do intend to extend this trail down to the beach. It's about another 10 miles. You can cycle it on the road here. Like I said, it's about 10 miles, and you'll get down to Playalinda Beach and go up and over the dune and down to the actual water itself. But this is a great route. I hope you get out there and enjoy this route through urban, suburban, and rural areas. It's a great way to see Florida, and it's a great day for a bike ride.
If you do want to go all the way to the actual ocean itself, it's about another 10.6 miles to get to Playalinda Beach. Be aware of the time restrictions on bicycles on this roadway as shown on this sign. I believe this is only for the first 6 miles until you get to the employee entrance at NASA. Here's some footage of the roadway that I drove in my vehicle. This is the turnoff for the NASA employee entrance here. Keep on going a little bit further, you'll see the turnoff for the Canaveral National Seashore. Here's the entrance fees. See, it's $15 for bicycles, $25 for vehicles. And then you'll get out to the end of the road, follow the roadway around to lot number 1. There's several lots there if lot number 1 happens to be filled. There is a stairway and a rampway for handicap access, and bicycles are okay as well. If you want to push your bicycle up and get it all the way to the ocean to dip the tire. I hope you find this video informative and useful, and I hope you get out and enjoy the Florida Coast to Coast Trail. It's always a great day for a bike ride.